All right, welcome to this afternoon or morning's webinar, depending upon where you're at. Thank you everyone for joining here. As you see on the screen, our focus is going to be centered on a lot of new features that have been released through this year. All right, welcome to this afternoon. And what we'll be doing is Lynn's going to be presenting here. In fact, I'll do a quick introduction of the two of us and also someone else who's going to be in the background answering questions. My name is Joseph Pleggy, and we'll be help facilitating the meeting behind the scenes today, answering questions. Lynn Strack will be the main presenter for the webinar today. As you know, Martus is always making enhancements and updates based upon feedback that we get, so thank you for that. And of course, our desire is for these changes, they're going to help save you time or strengthen your Martus experience and to really help facilitate some of those smarter financial decisions. There could be some things that you might not have in your current subscription, so we do realize we've got a diverse group of users. If you see something that's of interest, you want to learn more about it, you can always submit a support ticket if you're a direct customer of ours, or if you work through a partner, you can ask them as well about those features. And then everything that we do put in here will go into our knowledge base as well, so that you can see it there for some short videos and clips from the webinar. Then I'm going to turn it over to you, and we'll get started here.
Thank you, Joseph, and thank you everyone for attending. Let's dive in and discover how Martus innovations over the past 6 months can empower your organization to work smarter. You're ready to start a new budget year. You'll be happy to know that Martus has simplified the process of creating your initial budget for the new year. The options have been organized into an easy-to-follow process. There are 3 new methods to choose from. Let's focus on the top 2. The copy budget method allows you to create a budget in the new year based on a budget from any year. You heard that correctly. From any year. Then there is the copy budget and load actuals. Now this method is even more powerful, allowing you to create a new budget using a budget from any year as the base and then pull actuals into that budget. Note, there are numerous new advanced options that allow you to control exactly which components of the budget that you want to be copied to the new budget year. Now, many Martus clients create the initial budget in the new year based on available months of actuals and the remaining months of budget. Have you ever wanted to create a budget based on the trailing 12 months of actuals? Well, an exciting new feature is the ability to create a budget based on the trailing 12 months of actuals. Now, this feature goes back 12 months from the ending date. Note, in this case, we're using 4 months of actuals from 2024 and the first 8 months actuals from 2025 to create a 2026 budget. Budget worksheets have some new features that I'm confident you will like. First, there's an activity log on every budget worksheet providing insight into worksheet changes. The second enhancement relates to filters. Your budget worksheet may have many lines, and you may need to focus on a subset of those lines. I would like to draw your attention to the new account category filter. Yes, you can now filter your budget worksheet by a group of GL accounts. In this example, we're focused on travel GL accounts. This filter is useful, but there's still more to explore. In addition to the account category filter, Martus has always allowed you to filter by account and dimension values. Did you know that you can also filter your worksheet by just the lines impacted by an SPW? Let's head over to Martus for a hands-on demonstration of the new Martus budget features. So let me share my Martus screen. All right, and as you see, there's a poll question that's popped up that you'll have a little bit of time to answer. All right, let's talk about creating a budget inside of Martus. Of course, we go to Planner Setup, and your first step in the new budget year is to create this preliminary budget. Martus has streamlined the process, making it easier than ever to create a budget, the budget that you need with just a few clicks, where that budget is based on actuals, based on prior year budget, or a budget based on combination of actuals and budget. Let's look at the options. So we're gonna go to 2026, our new budget year, hit load, and then we're gonna click create a budget. Now I would name the new budget 2026 preliminary. 2026 preliminary. When we click method, we see 3 available options. Let's start with the copy budget. This allows you to create a budget based on any prior year's budget. Let's walk through the process. We click copy budget. Now we select the year. So I'm going to base it on a prior year budget. The budget I want to base it on is the 2025 forecast. And let's look at the advanced options. We're going to use all these options. We are going to copy in the SPWs, but we're going to choose not to post them quite yet. And then I'm going to click create a budget. And I'm going to say, okay. Now, of course, as always, I'm going to view task progress, which we all know that brings us to dashboard updater, which tracks the API, but also tracks internal jobs. And you see that running. And that refreshes approximately every 10 seconds, but I'm a big fan of hitting this refresh button. And there you see that, of course, the budget copied successfully. So I'm going to close this tab. We're back to our original screen on Planner Setup, and I'm just going to refresh it and go back to 2026 and hit load, and we see our preliminary budget. Now, typically, we'd go ahead and set that as a planner default and make sure the worksheets are probably unlocked at the beginning so people can work on them. But what if you want to create a budget based on trailing 12 months of actuals? Did you know that Martus can do that? So in 2026, we're going to click Create Budget again. This time, we're going to call it TTM for trailing 12 months, and we're going to select the method. But this time, the method we're going to choose is Copy Budget and Load Actuals. Once again, I'm going to select the year. I want the base budget to be our board approved budget from the prior year. Now under load actuals, there's a drop down. Notice that we now have the option of 12-month trailing actuals. Yes, you can set up your budget based on 12 months of actuals. Now looking at and I'm gonna go ahead and select that. Looking at the advanced options, we're gonna leave this as is. And by leaving this one unchecked, we are saying that we're only gonna pull actuals into our existing worksheets. And those worksheets are defined by the budget that we selected from the prior year. Now, since the last month we closed in Martus is August of 2025, the green text shows that we're going to pull in actuals from September 24 through August of 2025. So let's go ahead and hit Create Budget. And of course, once again, we're going to hit OK. We want to view that task progress, and I'm going to hit refresh. This one may take a little bit longer just because we're pulling in the actuals. Hit it one more time. And refresh. It's just about done, and there it is. It is completed. Trailing actuals loaded into trailing 12 months. So let's go to that tab. Let's hit close. Let's refresh the page. It's going to go to the default year 2025, and we're going to flip back over to 26 and hit load. And there it is. Now, I want you to notice, even though we pulled in 12 months of actuals, and typically when we pull in actuals, we're going to freeze those months. But in this case, we're sitting in 2026. The fiscal year for this environment is January through December. Our ending date is August 2025, which is in the past. Therefore, we did not freeze any months. As a matter of fact, I did the same exact process in 2025, and I hit load, and I did the same thing in 2025. And in this case, it froze the months through August because August 2025 is in the fiscal 2025 year. And then September through December are unfrozen. You now have a plethora of options to easily create your budget. Next, we turn our attention to some other exciting new budget functionality. So let's talk about activity logs. Martus has been busy adding activity logs to make it easy for you to identify changes in your budget. Now, of course, you know there's an activity log under admin reports, activity log. And we know that that activity log tracks changes. It does not track dollars, and that's why it's called activity log and not an audit log. But did you know that there's also an activity log under Planner Setup? Now, this activity log is budget specific. So let's select the board approved budget in 2025, and you see the option to view activity log. So we're going to do that. Note that this is a plethora of information. And if we scroll to the right, we'll see the additional detailed information. All right, so I'm going to close that. Now, there's also a new activity log on each budget worksheet. So let's go to Planner Worksheets in 2025, and let's go into the Counseling Services budget worksheet. You'll see an activity log tab, I'm going to click on that. Now you can easily see changes and who did it. Since we're in here in the budget worksheet, let's talk about some new filters. So we're heading back over to the worksheet tab on counseling services worksheet. I want you to know that there are new ways to focus on specific worksheet lines. You have also been able to filter by specific GL account, but what if you need to look at a group of GL accounts? Note, there is now an account category filter. Now, our organization needs to evaluate our budgeted travel costs. Let's select travel from the dropdown, and we can see that this travel account category includes these 4 GL accounts. Now we can easily evaluate our travel budget. Next, we're going to include the blue reference data at the top. Before I do that, I'm going to hide the menu. Let's include the blue reference data. And notice that is also filtered by the account category. So now we can compare either prior year actuals or budget, 12 months trailing, etc., in the reference data up above to the travel lines in the budget down below. This will definitely save time and lead to better budgeting. So there's also a new option to clear filters, and I'm going to use that. Next, there's another new filter option. Sometimes you need to focus on just the budget lines created from special purpose worksheets. Well, you'll be happy to know that we also added a filter for that. Let's try out the new filter line type option, and let's select SPW lines. That is what I needed. It's just coming from the special purpose worksheets. Thank you, Martus. Now let's switch back, and we're going to go ahead and clear filters, and let's head back over to our PowerPoint. And that should be popping up on your screens. And I'm going to go to the next slide. Now we turn our attention to some reporting enhancements. Have you ever had a request to pull a financial or budget report based on a subset of dimension values, such as a group of departments? As you know, account categories are a subset of GL accounts. A related functionality is reporting groups. They are a subset of GL accounts and or dimension values. Recently, Martus introduced the ability to filter standard reports by reporting groups. Yes, you can now pull the exact data that you need. We're also happy to announce the ability to filter Martus standard reports by active or inactive data. The default is to include both, but the new option allows you to choose either. As you know, Report Builder allows you to customize financial reports, graphs, and KPIs. Automation is popping up everywhere with the purpose of saving you time. In Martus, we now use AI to assist with report creation. You simply type what you want to create, and Martus creates a report for you. Note that Martus provides you with example prompts to get you started, and you see some here. Let's explore some more. In this example, we request a 12-month trailing actuals report that calculates a 4% increase. Based on the prompt, this report was created. This is intriguing, but what if you needed locations on the rows instead of GL accounts? Note the request has been edited to include set rows to locations. And the result? This is big news, but there are other new Report Builder features we should discuss. Report Builder has a multitude of ways to display data on rows and columns. A new feature allows you to expand by any dimension while comparing any 2 data points, such as actual versus budget, or this year's budget versus last year's budget. The column type is called Dimension Comparison. It is a powerful new tool in your reporting toolbox. Here you see a report by location on the rows with a net income for each location. This report is possible due to a new roll-up option that allows you to summarize report row detail by account type. This is especially useful on the gain-loss layout row type when you want to display an income statement for each location or department. Did you know that you have easy access to reports on the welcome page? Yes, you have one-click access to any of your saved reports, any shared reports, and any of your Report Builder reports. Speaking of shared, did you know that Report Builder allows multiple users to update a notes field on a shared report? I'll show you that in Martus in just a little bit. In fact, let's head over to Martus. now. So I'm going to share my screen. All right, my screen should have popped up, and I'm going to go back and let's start talking about standard reports. So we are going to go to Dashboard, Financials, and the Income Statement. Martus is all about providing ways to quickly analyze your data. Because of that, we added new filtering options on Dashboard Financials and also on the Planner Summary Budget Reports. We'll start with the new filter for inactive data. Yes, you can now filter the standard reports to include activity that is associated with active or inactive GL accounts and dimension values. The default is to include both active and inactive lines. Let's show just the inactive lines. And I'm going to hit load. It looks like we budgeted to an inactive GL account 4160. Good catch. I'll be sure to fix that later. Now let's revert back to see both active and inactive data. Oops. And I'm going to come here and I'm going to say all, and I'm going to hit load. Now our next new filter option is reporting groups. Now, are you ever on a report and need to filter by a subset of accounts and or dimension values? Your financial and budget reports now can be filtered by using reporting groups. This is a powerful new tool that will allow you to filter by any combination of accounts and dimensions. Let me demonstrate as we head over to Planner Summary and our Planner Summary report. We start by setting the rows to Project View Summary, and let's set the the columns to location, and I'm going to hit load, and you will see a locations, and you will see. So we have been asked to create a new budget report based on locations Little Rock, Dallas, and Austin. And I was going to say you will see a poll question has popped up. Now in the past, we would have created a user profile with limited access to the 3 requested locations, Little Rock, Dallas, and Austin. That works, but Martus come up with a better way that will save you time. So I'm going to switch to another tab, and we're going to go to Setup and Reporting Groups. Remember, reporting groups allow you to define subsets of your data. Let's edit the reporting group called Locations, Little Rock, Austin, Dallas. Here you see the reporting group is limited to the 3 locations. Let's head back over to the budget report to see if this meets our report requirements. So we see our new reporting group filter here, and we're going to click the drop down, and we're going to find the location, Little Rock, Austin, Dallas reporting group, select it, and we're going to hit load. That was easy. No, reporting groups are available at the Plus and Premium subscription levels. Now, staying with reporting, we turn our attention to Report Builder enhancements. So we're going to head over to Dashboard and Report Builder, and we're going to take a look at Webinar Demo 1. I'm going to go ahead and open that report. Here we see a report with row type. Let's go ahead and look at that with the row type equal to the income statement, and the rows are grouped by location. Now this works, but what we're seeing here is each of our locations under income, and then cost of goods sold, each of our locations under expense, etc., but we're not seeing an income statement by location. I've been asked to create an income statement for each location on this report. We could have built it out manually, but there is now a better method. So I'm going to go ahead and edit this row structure again. Now, to use the new roll-up option, we're first going to set our row type to gain-loss layout. Next, we set the row groupings. We're going to keep location as the first group. We're going to add a second group, and that's going to be the new account type. And I'm going to go ahead and hit update and refresh. And just so we can see this clearly, I'm going to unclick the edit mode. Scrolling down, we see an income statement for Dallas, an income statement for Austin, and an income statement for Little Rock. All right, let's move on. I'm going to cancel that report, and let's look at our second webinar demo report. We're going to open it up. Now here we see a column structure comparing last year's actual to this year's budget, expanded by quarters. Now this is using the column type, and let's just look at that real quick. The column type equal period comparison, and it is great. It's a great report, great functionality. It compares 2 data sources expanded by a time period. But sometimes you need to compare data sources and then expand by a dimension instead of a time period. Let me introduce you to the new dimension comparison column type. Use it to compare 2 data sources expanded by a dimension. Now, we've been asked to create a report that compares prior year actual to current year budget for each department. Let's change up this report by doing the following. We're going to choose column type, dimension comparison. Next, we're going to choose the dimension we want to use, in this case, department. We're going to scroll down a little bit. Our period, we're going to do a full year. We're going to do annual. We're going to pick our two data sources, prior year actuals, and then data source 2 will be current year planner. And then let us go ahead, so we have a nice clean header. We're going to change the header 1 to actual and header 2 to budget. And let's go ahead and hit update and refresh and look at the results. Now, keep in mind that we could compare any two data sources for any year, such as this year's board approved budget to this year's forecast budget. But here we have two data sources expanded by our department values. All right, let's close up that report and let's look at webinar demo 3, collaborative notes. And we'll open that up. Now, we are very collaborative within our organization, and we often share reports. Now, you can see that GS left a note on this shared forecast report. Did you know that a notes column on a shared report can be edited by anyone that has access to that report? Let's test this out. So I've logged into J on another browser. So right now I'm logged in as Glenn. Glenn is the owner of this report. I'm going to flip over to the other browser and we see now I'm logged in as Jay. Jay has access to that shared report, collaborative notes, and we're seeing it on the welcome page. And I'm going to go ahead and open that up. Logged in as Jay. So as Jay, I open it up and I see that GS has sent me a note, Jay, we should cut Q4 budget 10%. Well, I'm going to go ahead and edit this. I'm going to edit the note, logged in as Jay, logged in as Jay, even though we see it's clearly Glenn's report, logged in. And I'm going to go ahead and enter a note. So I'm going to go ahead and put my initials so it's obvious who put the note in. And I'm going to set the expectation that I will update the budget today. And I'm going to hit update and refresh. Now, because I'm not the owner of the report, I cannot save the whole report, but what I can do is I can save the notes I just put in there. All right, with that being said, let's head back over to our other browser. While I'm logged in as Glenn Strike, who is the owner of the report. And I'm just going to go ahead and refresh the screen just to verify that Jay's note shows up on my report. And there it is. I will update the budget today and JC put his initials. This collaboration will make our team even more efficient. Now, artificial intelligence has the power to assist us in our job duties. Did you know that Report Builder can use AI to write reports for you? To use a new AI tool, you'll need to grant permission under the support menu. So I'm going to head over to support and note there is a Report Builder assistant consent form. So you need to agree to this and then you'll have access to the Report Builder AI tool. So let's head back over to Dashboard and Report Builder. And this AI assistant will allow you to use natural language to create custom reports. Let's try it out. So I'm going to start by adding a new report. And I'm just going to call this AI generated and say, okay. And this creates a basic report to start. But now we see that we have this Report Builder Assistant option. I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And you will see on here that we have a lot of options to choose from. Now we can type in our own description, but we have a lot of examples to get you started. And the example that I'm going to use is a report of year-to-date actuals with departments on the columns. And that's basically what I need, but I also want to make sure that the rows are grouped by location. So I'm going to add to this, group the rows by location. And I'm going to go ahead and say generate. And that'll take a few seconds to run and we'll see the results. And what we're expecting to see is year-to-date actuals with departments on the columns. And that's what we're seeing, year-to-date actuals with department on the columns and the rows by location. All right, let's head back over to our PowerPoint. All right, you should be seeing the PowerPoint again. Let's continue our journey with some impressive administrative improvements. You already know that you can add your logo under Setup Branding menu. It's important to know that we recently added some options. Choose the masthead option to display your organization logo at the top of every Martus page. Of course, you can also display your logo on any report builder report. Adding users is a core responsibility for admin users in Martus. Let's discuss some time-saving improvements at the user setup. You can now duplicate an existing user by entering the email and name of a new user. All profiles shown will be copied to the new user along with roles, permissions, and dimension restrictions. Martus also added the ability to copy a user profile from one user to another. Adding or updating user profiles is now a simple task. Martus has received requests to automatically update the ending date. I want you to know that we listened. There are two new options to automatically ending date. You can pick a date in the current month when the ending date will auto-update to the prior calendar month, or you can let the ending date auto-update to the current month on the first day of each month. Now you can set it and forget it. All right, we're gonna head back over to Martus, and my Martus screen should be popping up here in just a moment. All right, so let's talk about some administrative functions. So we're gonna start by heading over to Setup, Branding, to see the new logo functionality. So you already know that uploading your logo here will allow you to display it on report builder reports. Let me show you how you can customize your Martus screen to display your logo on every page. You see, we already updated our organization logo to Martus, time to train. Now there's a new default section down below. Let's see what happens when I change the masthead option to company logo and click save. Wow, just like that, our logo is displayed on every Martus page. Okay, for the next enhancement, let's head over to Setup and then Calendar. It is a brave new world for Martus ending date. The days of manually setting the ending date each month are gone. If you choose one of the new auto set options, so you see auto set and you have two options there. Now when I select prior calendar month, we see the option to set the day of the month. This determines when the ending date will update to the prior month. So we're gonna go ahead and hit save on that. You see this environment now is set to the 15th of the month. Therefore, we're sitting today at November 11th or 12th. Therefore, on November 15th, 2025, month will auto-update to October of 2025. Yes, you can set it and forget it. Now, if you use the current calendar month, then the ending date will always be the current month. Best practice is to use one of these two auto set options. Now let's head over to Setup and Users. And we have some new functionality here also. So we just hired Budgeter Bob, and we created a Martus user, but we did not add a role. We did not limit any permissions. Everything is blank. We just added the email address and Bob's name. Now we're going to save time by copying Bob's permissions from another user. So I'm going to edit Bob. On the info tab, we're going to select copy from other user. And you see we have a couple options here. Let's do replace. And what replace does is it replaces a profile you're on, Budgeter Bob, replace a profile you're on with the profile from a user you select, including all permissions and dimension restrictions. So let's select to copy it from JC, and then JC's role and permissions pop up. You see that he has a number of permissions, including transaction attachments, and you see JC is limited to 4 locations. And we're gonna hit apply. Let that process and it copy. So now we're back on Budgeter Bob. Let's look at the permissions, and we see that Bob has the same functional permissions, including transaction attachments. Let's head over to the dimensions, and we should see that Bob is now limited to 4 locations. And this profile was copied from another user. Very good. So now let's look at the next option. We're going back to the info tab on Budgeter Bob. Now we need to add a secondary profile to Bob. Instead of adding it manually, we'll save time by copying it from another user. So I'm going to hit copy from another user. And this time we're going to hit the add option. And let me just talk through what add does. It will take a profile from a user you select. It will create a duplicate profile and add it to the user that you're on as a secondary profile. So let's go ahead and do this. Let's take from gstrackissure.org, and you see he has his main and he has a profile, secondary profile. We're just going to copy the Watch Me Work profile, but we could copy both, either or both. And I'm going to hit apply and wait just a second, and that add the profile. Let's go look to verify, and we'll go to set up users, and we see that now Bob has a secondary profile that will match the Watch Me Work profile. In fact, on that Watch Me Work profile, I didn't point it out, but there was a numerous projects in terms of being limited. And let's take a look. And here you see it on Budget Bob's secondary profile. All right, we're going to head back over to our PowerPoint. All right, custom spreads keep spreading throughout Martus. They are set up under Setup, Calendar, Custom Spreads. They were originally introduced to budget widgets and special purpose worksheets to allocate specific budget lines, but now they can be used to allocate amounts on multiple lines of a budget worksheet using the Line Actions menu. You can even use custom spreads to make budget adjustments across worksheets via the Planner Budget Line functionality. This is a lot, but there is even more. Custom spreads can now be used to allocate amounts on the Detail tab of the Personnel module. Yes, it is now easy to budget personnel amounts by working days or even to accrue payroll dollars. Let's look at the custom spreads inside of Martus. All right, and you see a poll question pop up, and while you're answering that, I'm going to switch over to my Martus screen. So as we mentioned, custom spreads are spreading throughout Martus. You create the custom spreads as Setup, Calendar, Custom Spreads. This is where you define them. And you see I have quite a few defined here that are used for different purposes. Note the travel season allocation down below, with peak travel during the summer months, 20% in June, July, and August, and none in January, February, March, and then October, November, December. And let's go ahead and save. I also want you to notice this allocation even. Let's look at this one. You can see it just going across. It has a 1 in every month, so that is an even allocation throughout the year. Now, previously, you could use custom spreads on individual budget lines in budget widgets and special purpose worksheets to allocate amounts. Now you can use them to allocate multiple lines at once. So let's take a look at the budget worksheet. So we are going to go up to Planner and Worksheets. And once again, we are going to edit the Counseling Services budget worksheet. And let's go ahead and filter this worksheet by the account category, Travel. And we see we have our 4 lines here. And we're going to select all those lines because we want to allocate this based on the custom spread so that the travel will be predominantly in the summer. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at Line Actions, Custom Spread. We selected each of these lines. We're going to choose the custom spread that we looked at just a moment ago, which is Travel Season Allocation. We're going to do total because we don't want to change the total amounts. And we're going to pick a source, and the source will be this budget, 2025 budget, and we're due for the whole year, and we're going to hit apply. And yes, I'm sure, and that quickly calculates. And now you see it's zeroed out the earlier months, is zeroed out the end of the year, and then put the bulk of the budget in June, July, and August, just as we defined on the custom spread. That is okay. So that is nicely allocated based on our requirements. But now let me just show you how easy, if you have lines and you want to set them to evenly allocate, well, I showed you the other custom spread. So let's select these once again. Let's go to Line Actions, let's go to Custom Spread, and let's go ahead and select Allocation Even, which I showed you, which had a 1 in every line, or every month, excuse me. And I'm going to do total, so it doesn't change the total amounts. And we're going to hit source. Once again, we're going to choose this budget, and we're going to apply. So what I hope is that this is going to be $63,298, and these amounts won't change, but the dollars will be spread evenly January through December. And I'm going to hit apply, and I'm going to say okay, and that was fast. And you see it's evenly spread across the year as per the custom spread. and our total dollar amount did not change. Now, let's head over to budget lines. As you know, budget lines allow you to make changes across worksheets. So I'm going to go ahead and hit load in this budget. And once that loads, we're going to select line mode. And let's filter this by account 110 contributions and hit load. All right, and you see that we have 8 lines. I'm going to select all those lines to make a change. And you notice that's across worksheets. And I'm going to go to actions. And notice we now have the option for a custom spread here also. Now, in the interest of time, I'm going to stop here. But you see that you can apply custom spreads to a multitude of budget lines across worksheets. This is a powerful tool. Now, let's talk about custom spreads in personnel. So we're going to head over to personnel budgeting. We're going to go to scenarios. We're going to head over to the detail tab. Now, did you know that you can budget your personnel by working days? This can be accomplished using the Martus custom spread. Let's look and see how it's set up. So let me give us a little more real estate here. And let's look at Caden. In Caden, and we pay semi-monthly, twice a month, $3,000 each time. And you see Caden's making $72,000. Now, we've been asked to allocate the salary amounts based on working days in the year. So let's apply the working days custom spread to Kenny's salary. So I'm going to select Kenny's salary. I'm going to update pay items. We're going to see there is a custom spread tab, and I'm going to select the custom spread working days and hit apply and okay. And notice that it updated Kenny's salary line plus other lines that were a percentage of the salary line. And here you now see that Kenny's salary is spread out, hasn't changed, 72,000, but now is spread out by working days in each month. And what we would expect is February to be the smallest amount. Well, it is, except for November, because there's not many working days in November because of the holidays. Now, so the new result spread the cost based on the number of working days in each month. All right, so let's take a second scenario. Your organization accrues a pay period from the start of the year to the end of the year. Therefore, you have one less pay period in the first month and one extra pay period at the end of the month. So let's go ahead and let's come back here. Let's go back to scenarios. Let's go back to the detail tab. And let's go ahead and filter by Brandon, our employee, and hit load. Now you see Brandon is paid 25 pay period of $5,000 a month for a total of $60,000 in the year. So we're going to select Brandon's salary. We're going to go to update pay items. We're going to go back to the custom spreads. So our goal here is to move one pay period from the beginning of the year. We want to accrue it and move it to the end of the year. So I'm going to take the spread and I'm going to choose a custom spread, pay semi-monthly, accrue from start to the end of the year. And notice it can also be done on a bi-weekly basis where some months are 3 pay periods and some are 2. But in this case, we're semi-monthly, and we're going to go ahead and apply that and click OK. And you will see now that Brandon has 1 pay period in January, but 3 in December with the same total salary. Now, before we head back to Martus, I want to show you an integration matrix. So if you go to the Martus support knowledge base, and you just type in matrix, Martus often introduces functionality that is ERP specific due to API limitations, etc. To explore the financial system capability of Martus, please review this matrix. But I also want you to know that we have not left out file-based integrations. If you click right here, there is a plethora of information relating to file-based integrations. With that being said, we're going to head back over to our PowerPoint to finish up. Joseph, the webinars and Watch Me Work sessions are valuable learning resources. What is coming up next?
Very good. Thank you, Glenn. Yeah, so coming up next, we've got some webinars planned for next year. If you want to put a hold on your calendar, February 3rd, US, 4th in the morning for our Australian clients and partners. And then on our Watch Me Works, we do that quarterly. Next one will be in March, very interactive along those lines for those sessions there, one each week during that month. And to highlight the very bottom one, the end user budgeting and reporting. If you want to get your end users in Martus and have them get a little free training here as well, that's for them. And again, very interactive. So please mark those on your calendars. And as always, just kind of big thank you for everyone for choosing Martus here. Very proud to have you guys as part of our tool, as have us as part of your tech stack here. As a reminder, we're going to be sending out the recording tomorrow. So all the webinars also, again, will be posted in our knowledge base. And then at the end of the webinar here in just a minute, there's going to be a brief survey, and we hope that you'll let us know how things went here for you today. Get your feedback. It's always very helpful to us. So thank you again for attending. I think we've answered all the questions that came through. But if you have other questions, you can always reach out to your partner, or if you're a direct client of Martus, you can file a support ticket with us as well. So thanks again for attending. And again, please take a couple minutes to fill out the survey afterwards. Have a great day.